about an hour or so. Everybody, it is Michael here, and we are bringing you some very, very exciting news. So, Jamal Adams just got traded about an hour or so before recording this. He got traded to the Seattle Seahawks. So, that is huge news because he has been, constantly vocal on Twitter and, in news reports and things of that nature. So, yeah, he finally got what he wanted. He got out, which is, I guess, pretty crazy that he was able to get traded. I thought the Jets, there was no way that they were going to trade him. So with that, we're going to kind of dive into it a little bit and kind of, just give my opinion, just because it does actually kind of connect to the Jadeveon Clowney video that I made not too long ago, because obviously it's on the Seahawks. So and we'll go a little bit into how that affects it. But all in all, so here's the trade details, right? Adam Schefter tweeted them. I know a bunch of other people as well, but the Jets trade Jamal Adams and a 4th-round pick in 2022 in exchange for Bradley McDougald, a 1st-round pick in 2021, a 3rd-round pick in 2021, and a 1st-round pick in 2022. So, honestly, I don't mind this trade for both sides. Now, I know everyone likes to pick a winner or loser, but I don't think it. I personally don't see it too much as a loser. I kind of see it almost as a win-win. The biggest reason for the Jets winning, I know a lot of people will be like, well, they lost Jamal Adams. Yeah, but they got 2 first-round picks for a safety, and that's surprising. I know that that's what they were looking for all along, but a lot of people thought the price tag was going to fall just because of his position. A safety, that's not one of the high market positions. It's not a quarterback, it's not a left tackle, it's not a pass rusher, and it's not a corner. Corner is, kind of up and coming in terms of market value and things of that nature. So he's not any of those. He does cover, which I guess, boosts his market value, but he's not known for his coverage. He's not a bad guy in coverage, but he's much more known for his bigger hits against the run, all over the field. That's what he's much more known for. So it was shocking, and honestly, I'm kind of surprised that they were able to get as much as they did. So with that being said, that is a great haul in my opinion for the Jets. Now, kind of I'll break it down into their contracts. So as you guys can see, Jamal Adams, he's still on his rookie deal, so he's nothing, right? So the reason why this ties into my Jadeveon Clowney is because now they actually, if you look at both of their contracts, they actually end up saving some money, right? So Bradley McDougald's contract was roughly about $4 million. Obviously there's some guarantees and things of that nature, kind of adjusting those numbers, but roughly about $4 million. I'm sure they still have to pay him something. They didn't get out of it for free. They have to pay, whatever the guarantee that they still owed him. But Jamal Adams this year is making significantly less. He's not even making $1 million, right? I mean, their cap hit's $825K. So they just opened up, which is shocking because it's Jamal Adams, but they opened up, I'd say probably roughly about $3 million, after guarantees and things of that nature. I can't imagine Bradley McDougald got, let's see, so he got 6.5 of that guaranteed. Unfortunately, this doesn't break it down into exactly, but how much they had left of the guarantee, but I'm sure that they saved probably, or opened probably anywhere from 2 to 3 million. I would love to see that exact number. I'm sure it's somewhere, but that's huge, especially for the Seahawks signing Clowney. To me, it kind of bolsters them signing Clowney to a 1-year deal, and that's it. So basically, if they did clear up as much cap room as I think they did, they had about 13 and some change before this, right? So say they cleared up 3 roughly. We'll give them 3 for now. So that's 16. That's still in striking distance of Clowney. But now, as you'll see, His fifth-year option, if they pick it up, this is Jamal Adams, goes to almost 10 million. So that is almost impossible, for them to then keep Clowney after that unless they moved other people around or didn't sign some guys that were expecting them to sign. So with that being said, I think it kind of makes even more sense that he goes to a one-year deal with the Seattle Seahawks. I could be wrong. Always feel free to leave your comments down below, but I think it makes more sense that he signs a one-year deal with the Seahawks now that they have Jamal Adams, ball out, get a big payday, because it's very, very unlikely that they will sign him to that long-term deal. So that's how it relates to Jadeveon Clowney. I wanted to tie it into that. Now, kind of focusing back to the trade itself. Obviously, it helps the Jets, I guess, because they get out of Jamal Adams and I guess the headache that he was causing, in terms of just the locker room disputes. And he, said something about their owner, but, he may or may not have said some racist comments or things of that nature. There's a lot of reports going on. So I'm, not going to talk too much on that, but he was, even before that, causing a lot of disruption, with saying Adam Gase and things of that nature, like he's not a leader and things of that. So I think it's kind of good that they got him out because he didn't want to be there. So they got him out. They kind of actually cleared future cap space because he was going to get a big deal if he was going to stay. And they got Bradley McDougald, he's a free agent after this year. So they get him for a one-year deal and then they get out of his cap. So it's not like he's a veteran on a very bad deal. They got kind of exactly what they wanted, basically a clean slate. They have now a veteran for a year, and then they get the clean slate as he turns 30. That's kind of perfect in the Jets scenario, and kind of going back to the trade. And then they have 2 first-round picks, right? So that's why I kind of think it's a win-win for both sides, just because they clear up, they basically do what they wanted to do. And if they weren't going to keep Jamal Adams, they wanted to get as much as possible, which they did, including a 3rd-round pick for this upcoming draft, and then a clean slate in Bradley McDougald, one-year deal, right? So now, kind of going to the Seattle Seahawks and how this is such a big win for them. Obviously, they have Russell Wilson. They're in a win-now mode, right? They are trying to win as much as possible. So you plug Jamal Adams in here for Brad McDougald. That gives Pete Carroll, because Pete Carroll likes to move around. He likes guys that can just roam. He likes guys moving around. He likes disguising coverages. For the most part, I know he does like to do his kind of cover 3, but for his safeties and linebackers especially, not so much the corners. They're much more of that traditional drop back kind of cover 3 style. But for his linebackers and corners, he does like to move them around, especially guys that are flexible. And we saw Earl Thomas. He played just about everywhere when he was with Seattle. So they get Jamal and they pair him with Quandre Diggs from the Lions, who is low-key, he's underrated. Not a lot of people talk about him. Not a lot of people talk about the Lions because they're bad, frankly. They're not very good. But Quandre Diggs, he's low-key a pretty good safety. Is he top 5? No. But is he, top 15? I'd probably say so. And in terms of just cover safety, he's pretty good. He's not bad. That's really all you can hope for is, in a safety, is just not giving up too many big plays. So with that being Diggs and now Jamal Adams, plugging in for McDougald, that secondary is pretty good because they signed Quentin Dunbar, who is another low-key. He's underrated again. He had a really, really good in terms of coverage. He didn't necessarily have the picks, but he had, if you go to, I believe his PFF grade was really, really high. He's pretty good. He is an underrated guy. Then they have Trey Flowers, he's had his ups and downs, but he's good. He's all right, So they have now a pretty good secondary. Once you plug Jamal Adams in, they have the versatility that Pete Carroll likes. They have guys that can move around. So their defense, they need some pass rush desperately. That's why, I kind of think that they do bring back Clowney, kind of tying it back into to the previous video and to the Clowney talks. Look at they need pass rush desperately. So, but they can cover. They can cover, and they have guys that can play the run. They have guys that can fly and move around the field and kind of play a bunch of different positions. So that's why I think it's such a good investment, at least for this year, for the Seattle Seahawks. So now kind of jumping into the Jets depth charts. Basically, obviously you take Jamal Adams out of this, you put McDougal. It gives them a veteran presence. Now they have Marcus May and McDougal. So if they're trying to, be decent, they have two veteran safeties with Ashton Davis behind them. Rookie, who knows? He could develop into something, kind of learning the ropes. Like I said, McDougal is not a bad player. He's not great, but he's solid, I guess you could say. He's about average, which that's fine for the Jets. Their roster's below average, so I guess it bumps them up, So, yeah, they lose Jamal Adams, which is a huge step down, but McDougal, kind of what I said, he brings veteran presence, and he's on that one-year deal. Now, looking at their roster, right, they got 2 first-round picks. So the biggest question is, obviously not a lot of people think that the Seahawks are going to be too bad, so who knows what the first-round picks actually, equal to, but the Jets could be bad, right? And if they're bad again, the quarterback situation with Sam Darnold is up in the air, especially if he kind of performs how he's been playing, which is like the definition of average. He's not been horrible, but he's not been good. So who knows? Even with say Seattle is back half of the draft, final 8 to 10 picks. They could use that and that 2021 pick as capital to trade up for a Trevor Lawrence, for a Justin Fields, for a Trey Lance. A lot of people, he's getting a lot of hype. They could go after the top quarterback, which is Trevor Lawrence. Frankly, unless something changes, especially if they're bad, say they are top 10. Then they don't have to move too much more to that number 1 spot if they're as bad as what people are thinking, what people are projecting. They could make a move to replace Darnold. They could even trade Darnold in that trade package. They have some flexibility. They have now with that draft capital, they could get Trevor Lawrence. I wouldn't put it past them, especially, like I said, if Darnold plays bad. Now, if they don't, let's say Darnold, I know I'll probably get a lot of Jets hate, but I know Colin Cowherd will definitely come after me hating on Sam Darnold. But with that being said, say they keep Sam Darnold, right? They have 2 first-round picks now. 2 in this upcoming draft and then 2 in next year's draft. So 4 in the next 2 years. They can really, really address some positions of need. They could address their secondary, which is pretty bad, and especially now that they got rid of Jamal Adams. They could go corner. They could go who's coming up, Surtain from Alabama. They could go not Kyle. What is the dude from LSU? I'm messing up his name. The corner from LSU. He was a freshman last year. I am blanking on his name. Wow. But I'm sure, go look him up. He's a beast. He basically outplayed Christian Fulton as a freshman. So he obviously not this year, but in 2021, he could potentially come in. They could fix, I'm just looking, kind of at their roster, linebacker. Mosley, obviously they signed, but besides that, their linebacker core is iffy. They could fix pass rush, which is huge because look at these. They have bums everywhere. Outside of Quinnen Williams, Steve McLennan from Pittsburgh, I watched him play being a Steelers fan. He's a good run stuffer. He is not bringing you too much in the pass rush. Henry Anderson, he's all right. I know a lot of people want to see Nathan Shepard or Jabari Zuniga, their rookie, kind of go in that outside linebacker edge role because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they play a 3-4. Terrell Basham, Jordan Jenkins, those are I mean, they're young. Who knows? They could outperform what we're expecting, but they have a lot of needs. That's just on defense. I mean, they need everything basically on in secondary. They could use another linebacker, especially if they are going to run 3-4, and they could use pass rush. Just about every position at pass rusher or D line, I guess, because you don't always just need to be a pass rusher, but they could use anything outside linebacker, D line, pretty much anything on defense. Now for offense, they I know they got drafted Denzel Mims, but their wide receiver core is still They got Mekhi Becton. He's a rookie. Tackles, O linemen usually are not they don't adjust the quickest to the NFL. O line is a pretty difficult position. They did sign a guy, in McGovern from Denver. I believe they have George Fant actually starting. I don't think Chuma is going to start, but who knows? So they desperately need a O-line. Their O-line is horrible. Their weapons are pretty bad. So they could go just about anything. Tight end, I'll give it to them. Tight end, Ryan Griffin and Chris Herndon are pretty good. Le'Veon Bell, being a Steelers fan, he's a beast. Their O-line's just horrible. LaMichael Pirine, he's pretty good. I would suggest watching his highlights. He was pretty underrated. I think he's kind of like Le'Veon light, really light, like not comparing to Le'Veon, but he's good at just about everything. He's good at catching, he's good at running, he's decent at pass protection. He's kind of like the Le'Veon in terms of one cut. I know Le'Veon has his passive style in the backfield, but then once he kind of turns it up, he is more of a one cut. He's not a Saquon Barkley or anything like that. But LaMichael also, the reason I compare him to Le'Veon Light is because of his catching. He's a really good pass catcher. If you watch some of his highlights, a lot better than a lot of the running backs that just catch the bubble screens and things of that nature. So yeah, I think the running back core is pretty good, especially with Frank Gore. It's decent. Tight end's decent, but like I said, besides that, they could go quarterback. Now they have that flexibility. They need O-line and they need receiver. So that's why I see it as a positive, because they need a lot. They're not the Seahawks. They are not a piece away from being a championship team. They're not. Well, the Seahawks are currently, kind of in that conversation of championship caliber. So why not? Why not get rid of him? He wasn't going to stay. You were just going to franchise tag him for 2 years and then he was going to leave, or there was going to be another trade down the road. So why not get him, especially at this trade value? That's pretty crazy what they got. So I think it's a win-win, honestly, for both teams. It's kind of an L for Clowney if you want to throw him in there. He's definitely at this point, at least how I see it, there's almost no chance that he gets a long-term deal with Seattle, but who knows? He may not even have wanted to, extend and stay there for too long anyways. So I think it's a win-win for both, but as always, feel free to leave your comments below. Let me know who you think won the trade. Let me know if you think this makes Seattle a championship team, and let me know what position you think the Jets should draft. Like I said, they need just about anything. So Jets fans, let me know what you would want to see. Let me know who you would want me to see them, or who you would want to see them draft. But yeah, leave your comments below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe as well. And I will, try to release my opinion on just about every update, especially these big ones, especially with not much going on, in the NFL and sports world. So as always, everyone, hope you guys have a great day, great weekend, and I will see you guys next time.